Hi, I'm Annie Poling, and I'm a home-educated filmmaker, and today we're doing something different, and I'm talking about the OTS. So the OTS is just a type of shot, and OTS stands for over the shoulder, which basically just means you're shooting over someone's shoulder. So just to see what that kind of looks like, I'm shooting a shot of Faith, but I'm looking over Lizzy's shoulder. And Lizzy, can you turn a little bit more that way? Yeah. Yep. And then they look at each other, and we got a nice shot there. And so I'm going to show you the same shot, only without the shoulder. And Faith, you can pretend Lizzy's like right here. And it's just kind of a much more empty shot. And if we were going to cut back and forth between Faith and Lizzy, it would be a little awkward. So just to bring someone in, fill up the screen here, it makes it much more full, and it's also doing kind of what I talked about a couple episodes ago, which is having two things happening in your shot at once, where we can see Lizzy's shoulder and can see a little bit of her reactions, but we can also see Faith and her lovely face. So in a movie, typically the OTS is used in a conversation where you have two people facing each other, and also typically it comes in pairs. So you'd have two shots, one looking over Lizzy's shoulder at Faith, but then you'd get the opposite shot looking at Lizzy over Faith's shoulder here, and then you cut in between them as the conversation happens. The reason that it's used a lot in conversations is, like I said, you get to close off a lot of the frame with the other person, and what it can do, it kind of gives this feeling to the audience that these two people are all by themselves. They're having this conversation, there's nothing else in the world, it's just them, and when you close off the frame, it just makes it a lot more isolated. So there are a couple different things that you can play around with while doing the OTS, and one of them is height difference. Now, Lizzy and Faith are the same height-ish. Faith's a little taller. What we can do is play around with the camera and how the angle is to make Lizzy taller or shorter how we want. So if we are looking down at her, she feels really small in comparison to Faith, like that. So if we wanted to make Faith seem intimidating or Lizzy seem intimidated, we'd bring the camera up, make her feel smaller. And if we want to make her feel bigger, we bring the camera down, we're looking up at her, and she can feel more on even ground or more intimidating herself. So you can do that on either side. Like I said, Faith is taller, so she seems a little bit more intimidating through the camera. Bring the camera up, and Faith suddenly doesn't feel quite she's not quite as tall as she was before. We bring the camera down, and she's quite intimidating and tall to Lizzy here. So there's just some things that you can do to play around with the feeling that the OTS is giving. Another thing you can do is control how much one person is covering up the screen. So here Lizzy's covering up maybe a third of my screen, but if I get closer to her and have her fill up more of the screen, the conversation feels, turn this way some more, yeah, even more close and between just the two of them. Now she's feeling like half my screen, and it's just the two of them in their own little world, as opposed to this, it's a little more open, maybe not as intense. So you can do stuff like that to control how the scene feels. Another way that you can control the intensity or the feeling of the scene is by using the distance between your two actors. So I get here and I'm doing the OTS. It doesn't seem that intense, but if Lizzy were to get a lot closer, so move in this, yep, then suddenly it feels a lot closer and more intense conversation. If Lizzy were to get further away, feels like there's a big distance between these two characters, like maybe they're not that friendly or not having a friendly chat. So you can just really control how the scene feels using distance between your characters. So the OTS is just another shot that you could add to your repertoire, something that you can go to when you're trying to shoot a conversation, as always, practice, practice, practice. You have to practice when you're not filming a movie. Just go out, start shooting stuff, grab a couple siblings or friends, go out. Really, it's about understanding how it all works together so that you can put it into your movie where you want it. So, OTS stands for over the shoulder, and it's one of my favorite shots ever, especially when shooting a conversation. You can really easily control the height between your actors, the distance between your actors, and how your actors are covering the frame to control the overall feeling and tone of the scene. That's it for this episode. I really hope you've enjoyed watching it, and thank you, Lizzy and Faith, for coming out to help me. If you'd like to follow along with the Home Grown Filmmaker series, you can hit subscribe below. And if you'd like to learn more about Rogue Zohu Productions and what we do, we have a website, which is roguezohu.com. If you have a question or a comment, you can leave that here on YouTube, on our Facebook page, or on our website. We read them all. I'm Annie Poling, and thanks for watching. Can you hear the plane?
Yeah.
Let's wait for the plane then. Whoa, there's trees. We're waiting for a plane, just waiting for a plane. Don't know why I'm singing this, 'cause I feel like it. Okay. You just have to... Lady! Gosh. It's a loud plane.
Goodness gracious, plane, can't you see we're filming here?
And this is the sound of grass.
You can hear the breeze.
Yeah. Okay, it's not like that. I've heard it a couple times. It's gonna be OTS. Or and even say